Check out Ramona's piece on the Milwaukee Bucks ownership subplot that could determine Giannis Antetokounmpo's future. Giannis has missed Milwaukee's last 3 games with a knee injury, but was seen working out pregame on Saturday. The Bucks are 7.5 games out of the play-in with just 12 to play. In addition, Shams has reported Giannis is resistant to being shut down for the season. He's listed as out tonight against the Clippers. So regardless of how this season plays out, Giannis could be entering his final season under contract with Milwaukee this summer. So, Ramona, you spoke to Bucks co-owners, Wes Edens and Jimmy Haslam. What did they say about Giannis' future?
Well, I think what was remarkable to me is that for the first time we've got somebody in the Bucks ownership group saying, yeah, we could trade him. And Wes Edens essentially said, look, he's going into the final year of his contract, so one of 2 things will happen. He'll either be extended or he'll be traded. And that was, to me, my eyes opened wider when he said that, because there's been this idea that yes, they had discussions about him in the past, and yes, they gauged the market on him, but there was at least from teams that I spoke to who were engaged in those discussions, it didn't seem like the Bucks were all that serious about trading Giannis during this past season. They listened on offers, but the Warriors threw 4 unprotected firsts at them, and they didn't really gain much traction. Miami made a strong offer, and Minnesota made strong offers, but there wasn't the sense that they wanted to move forward. And a lot of the teams that I spoke to said, we're not exactly sure which owner is calling the shots here. There's Wes Edens has the controlling ownership, but Jimmy Haslam is also in the picture here. He'll take over as the controlling owner in 2 years, and Jimmy Haslam, at least in one case, engaged in direct conversations with another owner in this conversation. So who's making the call here? Is it the guy who is running the team now, or is it the guy who's going to run the team in a couple of years? And I think the sense is, yeah, they sat in a room with me together for 90 minutes. They said they're going to make the decision together. You got to take them at their word. And the fact that they said he'll either be extended or be traded, I think there was some clarity put forth in that conversation.
You know, I'm looking forward to the draft lottery as we can keep preaching and preaching. Mm-hmm. This is a unique and amazing and potentially historic draft.
Yeah.
And depending on how things play out, and like Tim knows with Dallas or, you know, Spurs jumping up, like you never know how things play out. But I think after the draft lottery airs out, perhaps there's a team that's in that top 3 or 4 that could be an interesting team from a competitive standpoint that may, you know, couldn't be able to at that point make a play to the Bucks to like, hey, we got somebody that's a lifetime changer for your franchise. How about Giannis for him?
Well, and the Bucks have to do what's best for the Bucks. They've been trying for years and years and years to do whatever Giannis wanted, whatever they thought Giannis wanted this last summer. Anything possible to try to cling to the hope that they could win or contend for another championship with Giannis, which that's not happening. And so it's time for everybody to turn the page. And Giannis doesn't want to ask for a trade. He doesn't want to demand a trade. Milwaukee, you got to move the guy. You've got to give yourself
protect the franchise.
Right, exactly. And look,
and this league is such a copycat thing. Instead of coaching the players that you have, everybody just plays the same way, man. Like, it's the same thing. Let's try to manipulate a matchup in the pick and roll. Let's do an ISO. Let's do these ghost screens. Let's it's all of the same action, just renamed and a little tweak here, right? It's the same thing, man. And a guy like Giannis deserves a somewhat of a different kind of a system in place for him, because he is a different kind of a player, right? Same thing when like Wemby's coming into his own. It's the same thing, right? Shouldn't always have to be forced to play in this type of game, right? Because my skill set is dominant. My skill set is over here. I'm different than everybody else, right? They ain't named these dudes the freak and the alien for nothing, right? They don't fit this everybody's way of this new NBA of basketball. Their game don't fit that. Yeah. So let's help them dudes out with making the game easier for them to continue their dominance, because they are dominant. Let's help them as coaching and trainers. Let's help them.
Yeah. And Giannis, what he said, he's a stubborn dude. Obviously, he's a competitor. He wants to be out there. But Mr. B, like you're saying, this seems to benefit both sides. Even Giannis, 31 years old now, not really playing for anything, right? other than if he gets out there, they win some games, they now drop in the lottery. If he does want to stay in Milwaukee, draft probably their best route to either trading that pick or getting one of these players in obviously a loaded draft class to help. They don't have a lot of wiggle room and flexibility.
They're not going to move the needle this year, dog, if he does.
No, I'm saying, but looking ahead for the future.
Yeah, and they handicapped by the draft from last year, the Derek Queen thing, man. It's right.
No, but basically what happened was the Pelicans traded that pick to the Hawks. So that should be a higher pick.
Should be.
So then they won't do the swap, and then the Bucks would just get
their pick,
their actual pick.
Okay.
But if the Bucks did happen to jump, they're still getting something in that lottery range.
Yeah, if I'm the Bucks, I'm not playing them. It's all business. It's all business at this point now.
Yeah.
On both sides. I got to protect us because we don't know. We need to go into the summer making sure you're healthy and you're ready to go, and you need to make sure yourself is healthy. I think
if you do come back next year,
if you
right?
do come
if
back
don't nothing happen over the summer and you are to come back next year, we want the best version of you.
Yeah, I mean on both sides.
So
and if we want to make a trade, and now you're 31 years old, about to be 32 in December,
and you're getting older. So
and another team don't want damaged goods. Back to your point, B. If they do move him. We want the best version of Giannis that we want that MVP Giannis. We don't want the damaged Giannis. We want
the best trade package
available.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because his value is already high, so we know what it is when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Now it's just,
Yeah, to your point, B man, like he plays better.
Warriors Nation news. Dub Nation, let me ask you something that sounds absolutely insane until you really sit with it. What if the next great Warriors swing is not some small rotation tweak, not some backup wing, not some safe little move, but Giannis Antetokounmpo actually leaving Milwaukee and the Warriors being right there waiting at the door? Ha ha, yeah, I said it, because this story is alive again, and this time there is real smoke around it. ESPN reported that the Bucks listened to meaningful Giannis trade offers for the first time at the deadline. The teams, including the Warriors, Heat, and Timberwolves, showed interest, and that league figures still expect more conversations in the offseason. ESPN also reported that Bucks co-owner Wes Edens told the network one of two things will happen with Giannis. Either he signs an extension or he gets traded. Yeah, when a team owner is already framing the future like that, you do not brush that off like random social media nonsense. Now, let's keep it real, because real fans do not lie to themselves. Giannis to the Warriors is not done. It is not official. It is not breaking news, pack your bags. Nah. But the Warriors being in the mix is real, and that matters. ESPN's reporting says Golden State was one of the teams interested before the deadline, and a separate ESPN report in Portuguese said the Warriors were among the most active teams in those talks. At the same time, Giannis himself said in February, "As of today, I'm committed to the Milwaukee Bucks," and also said he would never publicly demand a trade. So the truth is, this is a live rumor, not a completed story. But hold on, that is exactly why Warriors fans should care, because the door does not have to be wide open for a franchise like Golden State to start leaning on it. Ha ha! All you need is a crack, and the crack is there. ESPN's latest reporting describes real friction in Milwaukee over Giannis's health, the team's direction, and even the ownership structure around a possible decision. The Bucks are basically out of the playoff picture, and ESPN says their season has only intensified the questions around whether Giannis and the franchise still want the same future. That matters, because stars do not leave only when they hate a city. Sometimes they leave because the timeline stops making sense. Sometimes they leave because the plan stops looking like a plan. Ha! And if Giannis gets to that point, the Warriors become one of the most fascinating landing spots in the entire league, not just because of brand name, but because of basketball fit and championship urgency. Think about the fit for 1 second and tell me this would not be terrifying. Giannis downhill with Steph Curry stretching defenses to another planet? That is not normal offense. That is a defensive emergency. If you trap Steph, Giannis has an open runway to the rim. If you collapse on Giannis, Steph is relocating into daylight and breaking hearts from 30 feet. Add Draymond Green as the brain of the operation, and suddenly you're talking about one of those combinations that just makes other fan bases sick to their stomach. And Golden State has already shown it's still thinking aggressively. The Warriors officially acquired Kristaps Porzingis from Atlanta on February 5th, and NBA.com reported the deal sent Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield out while bringing Porzingis in as a major front-court upgrade. That move alone tells you this front office is not sitting around acting scared of bold decisions. Yeah, they are still hunting. Now here is where it gets even more interesting for Dub Nation. The Warriors are not operating from a place of comfort right now. Stephen Curry has been sidelined with a right knee issue, and NBA.com reported 2 days ago that he is expected to resume full team practices soon after missing significant time, with 27.2 points per game before the injury. In other words, Golden State is trying to survive the present while still thinking about a bigger future. That is exactly the kind of environment where a superstar rumor starts making sense, because the Warriors are not rebuilding from ashes. They are trying to squeeze one more championship window open around Steph. So if Giannis truly leaves the Bucks and hits the trade market for real this summer, Golden State has every reason to jump back into the fire. No fear, no hesitation, no fake modesty. If a generational player might be available, serious franchises act serious. And yes, I know what some people are going to say, but didn't Porzingis mean the Warriors were out on Giannis? ESPN's deadline reporting around the Porzingis trade framed that deal as ending Golden State's pursuit at that moment, and that is fair, at that moment. But moments change in the NBA fast. Deadline talks are one thing, summer talks are another. If Milwaukee reaches the point where Giannis leaving becomes more than a whisper, more than a maybe, more than a tense behind-the-scenes standoff, the Warriors absolutely should re-enter that conversation if they can. Because pairing Steph Curry with Giannis is not the kind of opportunity you shrug at just because you already made one big move. That is the kind of swing that can redefine an era. So my take is simple and loud. If Giannis leaves the Bucks, the Warriors should be there. If the Bucks open that door, the Warriors should push on it. If there is a real path to Giannis going from Milwaukee to Golden State, Dub Nation should want the front office making that call immediately. Not because it is guaranteed, not because it is easy, but because this franchise still thinks big, and that is a good thing. Favorable to the Warriors? Absolutely. Because even being linked to Giannis tells you Golden State is still viewed as a place where superstars can chase something real. And if that rumor ever becomes reality, yeah, the whole league is gonna feel it. Now I want your honest take, Dub Nation. If Giannis really is leaving the Bucks, should the Warriors go all in to bring him to the Bay? Or should they ride with Steph, Draymond, Porzingis, and the current core? Drop your opinion in the comments. Hit like, subscribe to Warriors Nation News, and let's keep this thing rolling.